bit later into Champion Select. Talking about some of the other bans, Alistar, Lulu's going to be blocking out like the old Juggernaut compositions. Alistar, top tier support. Rammus is one of the more interesting ones up against Whirlib, banning out that tank in the top lane. Could be signals of IE maybe looking for a heavy AD composition, more AD carries, perhaps even going like an AD carry and support. Ezreal, for example, who took a hit in 6-4, and maybe Corki mid lane, that type of thing. Priority Corki here.
There were a couple of champions that took a hit.
Nidalee
didn't take a hit in this patch. I'm almost positive.
I don't think she got touched.
She didn't. I know it was a patch previous that she actually had a couple of little adjustments, but one champion that did, that we talked about the Gangplank, Fiora also got a couple of changes. The W cooldown increased, so there's some slight tweaks to the top lane, also to do with her E as well, got changed. So we haven't really figured out where teams and priorities sit here. This is the first game, in my knowledge, on 6.4 competitive. That normally is a Tuesday. I always then second guess myself because I'm like, did LMS have anything? Or like, was there anything else? There's a champion we saw a lot of priority on in the top lane, Nautilus.
Yeah, Nautilus just so strong right now. Like, he dominates all of the other tank matchups. Like, there's a tier list of like the 4 tanks. We've seen some Maokai. Malphite took a hit in 6-4, but also up there. Shen as well. Sartorius has definitely played that one before, but Nautilus just beats them all. Like, he hits E and then wins. Like, it's just it's such an easy matchup for Nautilus, and his pick potential, everything about Nautilus is so good right now. We see a lot of priority on him and can be used as a flex. Like, it's just such a good pick.
We also have another flex in Quinn. Can expect that to go in the middle lane more so. Godbro, and let me take a look. He has played 2 games of the Quinn as well, so we've seen him play it. Hopefully we'll get to see it again here.
But as you mentioned, potential triple flex though, because we've seen it in jungle, seen it in top lane, in EU, LCS, and all over the world. Poppy lock-in, just still a solid top laner, honestly, even after the hits in the last couple of patches. And there's the Corki pickup, so for the mid lane, maybe, or flex to AD carry.
I feel like this is kind of playing the bluff and saying, well, we expect you to put that Quinn mid. We don't expect the Nautilus to go support here, so we'll just take the Poppy top because that's what we want. Thought for a second that was locked in on the Udyr, and I was like, he got nerfed. But you know, at this point, there's nothing surprising on 6.4 yet. I think the Quinn being such an early pickup is the most surprising thing of this draft. But no oddball champions, nothing that we wouldn't have expected on 6.3 as well.
Not really. It's just the tier lists have maybe kind of shifted in terms of priority, but we're basically going to be seeing the same picks. I don't think we're going to see something really out of the ordinary. Jhin would be one of the only ones coming in. Maybe some of the picks we saw at IEM. Elise and Ezreal also picked up from HUMA, just there real quick. So we'll see where those will be going. Elise most likely jungle, of course. I'm just waiting on those final 2 pickups from Inspire.
This is a situation where you look at this and you're like, well, this very well could be that flex support here from Nautilus. Because, I mean, unless there's a particularly bad matchup here for the top lane for Naut, they may neglect to go for it. So that's Trundle going down into the support role. Puts Corki into the mid lane with Lucian as the AD carry here. So now, do HUMA want to take the Nautilus into the Trundle in the bottom lane, or do they want to take it into the Poppy in the top lane? Because those are both matchups where it's like, well, Trundle's going to do fairly well at reducing a lot of what Nautilus has to offer when it becomes tank, but not so much when it's the engage. I mean, you can block a hook by putting up a pillar.
That is
If you've got fast reactions, you can make him hook himself into death.
Yeah, that is a potential interaction we could see. I actually really want to see that now.
It's just one of those things that it's like, oh, that happens.
Yeah, it is. Also, like with Blitzcrank as well, where you can actually interrupt your own ally as they're traveling towards you. I think you can do that with a Nivea wall as well, because you have this small displacement, but remains to be tested.
One of my favorite ones that we may actually see here is the one that happened on, I think it was like ULOL or NACS, where if you Poppy ult a Nautilus away in between the initial part of the hook landing and then the second part, you can actually just pull yourself there.
It carries on going.
Okay. So, it is going to be Nautilus in the top lane. They want to avoid the Trundle matchup in the bottom lane, feel like it's fine into the Poppy, and then give themselves a little bit of protection when it comes to some of you know, the Poppy ult, the crowd control that's going to come there with her charging it.
Yep, that should be a fine matchup top lane for Nautilus. E is still super strong against any melee matchup right now. Poppy, she will get to the point probably after like 2 items where she'll be able to duel Nautilus. The early levels will be kind of difficult, but until that point, yeah, Poppy will probably have a rough time, so we'll see how that goes. Bot lane, Morgana was locked in, so that will be not a super aggressive lane unless a binding lands. Like I was looking at I was like, oh, Trundle can make some plays. Morgana.
Like, Ezreal Morg. I love that you're just like nonchalant. Well, it's not a super aggressive lane.
Yeah.
Pulse, that is a very passive lane. Like,
well,
Ezreal's going to move
like,
out and like throw a Q and be like, oh, Lucian, set in the minions. Okay. I guess I'll move back in.
Yeah.
Morgana puts out the W and just like clears their wave away.
But if a binding lands,
it is double range into you know,
into
a Trundle, and
yeah.
it's just like good luck with that.
Yeah, but
so
he'll just be poked.
As you said, a binding if it lands, there is a possibility for a.
Yeah, but then like that shouldn't usually happen. But I say shouldn't because then we saw Masterwork and Handsammer just line binding after binding after binding. So maybe it'll happen. We'll see. There you have all the lineups of all the players who are playing with us today in the same building. And remember to jump on Twitter, use the hashtags HMAWin and hashtag IEWin as we get into our first game of this best of 5 in the semi-finals here in the playoffs of EU Challenger. Inspire eSports starting on the blue side. HUMA opted towards the red in game 1 and 3. So we will have the same side selection for the first 4 games. And we'll swap it for the last one if we get their stress. We'll see if both teams will go 2-2. It was a pretty close series in Week 5, regardless of the result, even though it was 2-0 to HUMA. So, yeah, we'll see if Inspire do turn up even harder today.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether it's going to be as slow games as we
because they were in Week 5.
Hey, it's okay. We've got some sense of fighting a little bit earlier. We've got the likes of like a Quinn for moving around the map very quickly, looking at an objective game. You've also got the Corki. We all know about Corki. You're sick to death of people talking about Corki in mid game. Also expecting a lot from Maxlaw in this game. I feel. I want to see how he can perform on this Nidalee. It is his first game of Nidalee in at least. He didn't play it in the regular split at all. So let's see if he can use the Nidalee strength, where you go through your own jungle, go into the enemy jungle, and counter jungle, and look to counter gank very, very often. So I wonder whether we'll see that out of Maxlaw. I hope so, because I feel like he's one of the players that has a lot more to show us.
While Nidalee should be able to clear the jungle faster than Elise, if Nidalee meets Elise in the jungle, it's not like a clean cut. Nidalee just kills Elise.
No, it's not. It's actually on the cocoon. As with most interactions with Elise, it's like, does Elise land the cocoon? If she kills you, or like she at least burns a flash. If no, Maxlaw, then it's like, does he land a spear?
Yes.
It's like
it's the flow chart. Well, we talked about bindings maybe not landing, but the first one does. Double flash over the wall, make that third one from Wendelboe. Pillar was taken first, and that maybe enough disengage. Another binding lands onto Wendelboe. Bit more damage comes out from Holy Phoenix, and HMA are definitely getting the better of this trade in the top lane before they go to lane. This is a double lane swap up. So Australian lanes, here we go.
The Quadra flash. Oh, Godbro wants to go in.
And gets that blinds on Cosq. He carries on walking forwards, knowing he can get the extra damage in from his E. Another binding from just Suicast. I'm glad these binding are landing.
Yeah, we said there was not going to be a whole lot of action in this Ezreal Morgana lane.
I'm glad we're
Turns out, we've had 4 flashes instantly in this matchup, and now that leaves Woolite and Wendelboe in such an awkward position. Although just Suicast throws out the binding there and kind of gives away all of the pressure for the next couple of seconds. So if Woolite and Wendelboe step out too far, I mean, Holy Phoenix and Cass are going to look to go aggressive at any opportunity they can. Saying that, the exhaust was used by Cass and the ignite was not used by Wendelboe. Oh, Rudy has, that's a pretty good set of information. Rudy flashes over now as well. He got it.
He actually stole it with the flash and the smite. And I mean, what can Maxlaw do in that situation? Like, mid's being pushed in, so there's no pressure from Cosq. Top lane is being pressured from Holy Phoenix and Cass from the first level 1 play. Like, there's no downside from that, really, from Rudy, apart from the fact he's got a 5-minute cooldown on his flash, but he got the blue buff, so potentially getting that triple buff. Mid lane's putting even more pressure down. All right, so this has been a crazy start to this game already. Look at the pressure from Cass. That's another binding onto Woolite. Rudy looking for the follow-up with the cocoon. Holy Phoenix jumps in. This might even be a kill here. Rudy will take 1 tower shot. In fact, now go to the spider lane. Mid lane, Godbro went deep for Cosq. Maxlaw there with the counter gang, and that'll be first blood coming out.
There's action all across the map. This is going to be nothing like their first series. This is incredibly crazy to begin this one. So it looked like Godbro was trying to finish off Cosq going under tower. He burned his flash and he used ignite during that. Cosq still had his available. Godbro dived. I hope we can see the beginning of that. We were starting to see Godbro get a big advantage in that lane as we head into the mid lane. So this is where Godbro tries to go aggressive. Cosq, an EQ... okay. I was going to say, EQ Ignite is definitely enough to get that kill.
Yeah.
As we're going back to the beginning
We gotta
again.
go back.
We gotta go back, Marty.
All right, let's see it again.
We actually...
All right, so...
well, we went back, but time travel, you know, is not the most straightforward thing. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. You can't always get the outcome that you want, but it's all good. At least we saw the setup after the beginning.
Cool.
Then, yeah. No owl in that one. I'm a little sad.
No.
What we did see just before we went to the replay, though, was Maxlow was heading bottom lane and was sat just about in Tribush, trying to go aggressive onto Wirlib. By the looks of the state of summoners, after Wirlib managed to push the lane back out, Sartorius was forced to stay. Wirlib recalled, teleports back to lane. Maxlow didn't get anything from it. That's my inference from,
we
what
see
happened
aside
there.
that stress. All right.
Enhance.
The crime scene has been broken down. Rotate 70 degrees. Top lane, Holy Phoenix is... take a cue there, actually. Maxlaw now going into the enemy jungle. Has it level 5 over level 4, despite Rudy getting the smite and the extra experience. So he's now ahead in levels. And top lane's now being pushed in from Woolite and Wendelbow. A lot of priority from Cass, actually just looking at bindings versus anything else. Like, he hasn't been looking for, like, pools to push out the wave. He's kind of been letting it hit the turret. Maxlaw still in the enemy jungle, clearing away this pink. There's no pressure, really, from HUMA right now to stop him. Bot lane, I felt like the most action was going to happen here from Champion Select, and in fact, the least action's been happening in bot lane. Sartorius has kind of gotten past the point where Nautilus just ease him and then he loses, and now he's at the point where he's putting a lot of damage onto Wirlib. Rudy...
he was on the ward, so Sartorius...
Yeah.
Oh, wow!
Flash into the wall, put some damage out. That's going to be the flash away from Wirlib. And he'll be backing off. So that's a flash for flash.
That was very aggressive from Sartorius. Knowing Rudy was still around there is like, well, I think I can get the kill, or at least get the summoners, but he knows Rudy's no flash. Now he knows Wirlib's no flash. Does anybody have a flash available in this game? Yes,
Cass?
the supports. The supports have flash and Maxlaw. So 7 flashes are not available. And it's interesting because Maxlaw, having his blue stolen away, didn't really upset him too much in the end of all things, because yes, it's frustrating at the time. You lose the the buff, you lose the experience, that kind of thing. He then goes and gets a kill mid lane and is just like, well, I'll take this over a blue any day of the week. And then he goes into Rudy's jungle and starts out farming him there as well. So Maxlow's in this really awkward situation where he actually recovered very well from the beginning, and now Rudy is the one that has to try and find how to get back into this game.
Godbro is landing so many blinding assaults on Sikorsky, which means you basically win the trade against anyone if you land the blinding assault as Quinn. So much revolves around that in many matchups, because if you can't see your opponent, you have one of two options. If you have skill shots, you run towards them and try and hit them, or just run away and take free damage.
And that's the thing in this situation is, not only is the blinding assault annoying to deal with, Godbro, every time he vaults, there's that small interrupt, so it means the Phosphorus Bomb can't automatically follow up. You have to kind of preemptively Phosphorus Bomb where the vault came from. Wirlib's dead in the bottom lane. Didn't see the setup, but it looked like Rudy was getting himself back in the game on that one.
Yep, so... Maxlaw, Rudy taking away that blue.
Oh, sorry, Maxlaw, yeah, my bad.
It's like, he doesn't have an assist. How does that even happen? And then
no, you're right, that's... good brain over here. Okay, teleport came in from Sartorius. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong
somewhere
colors.
else.
Yeah.
But there we can see the setup. That was pretty clean cut, actually. Yeah, Sartorius came in with the teleport, and then what are you going to do, Wirlib?
Well, that's the second time we've seen Wirlib in a situation where he's getting chunked down low. And then the first time he didn't die from it, but he had his flash burn. So instantly Inspire just like, okay, well, we can convert that flash being down now into the lead in this matchup. And, you know, this Nautilus was flex picked early on. The Poppy was in response, and then they've brought out the Morgana. This lane matchup for Wirlib does not seem to be going well.
It's actually one of the problems with Nautilus into most matchups, because you auto push the lane with your harass combo. Like, your E is most of your trading power, and that will also push the wave. So you always push up to their tower, meaning you can be punished very easily by your opposing jungler. And Maxwell's being very aggressive on this map, so you're seeing it again and again. Sartorius actually gets the stun there. That was a janky angle. And the Hammer Shock will land. And Kotsky's coming in from behind as well. There's the package, knocks him towards Sartorius for another hammer shock, and has the Valkyrie even to get out. More action happening in the top lane. Rudy's coming in for the kill. Got that level 6 now. Wenobo backing off to the tower. Return damage from Warline. Lands most of the culling onto Rudy. Doesn't matter, he had that small nerf to its range. Godbro the flash, and once again flashed away from. All he wants is the auto attack on the vulnerable target. That's all Godbro needs.
Godbro has been so close to killing like 4 people in this game from that, but now we're into a situation where from standard lanes we've had plays both sides of the map and we're looking to take down turrets, but this all started from Cosq picking up the package. Now we'll see if he can get it onto Maxlor.
Yeah, doesn't have enough damage to 100-0 someone yet. Whirlib, not quite there in time. The TP timing was like, well, I mean, it wasn't okay, but he went as early as he could to make that happen. Top lane will go down, bottom lane will go down. So just a simple trade there.
So this all stemmed from the package being picked up by Cosq, and if we've learned anything, it means that Inspire have a pretty good delivery service, because they just delivered to 20,000 leagues under the sea to the Titans with the depth in the bottom lane. As took out Whirlib, onto the top lane came Rudy for that play onto top tower. It means we're in a situation, tower traded for each of them. Now what is the next step to that? Because while we're not in a lane swap, typically what we saw when kind of mirrored turrets are taken down, one top and one bottom, is you'll transition into an objective like the Rift Herald, like the Dragon. Will we see that happen, or will we see the lane swap around so that you then put the bottom lane down bottom and look for that turret on your respective side?
Maybe. Well, we've had a lot of action in the early game. This results in 3 kills over to IE. Towers are complete even. In terms of CS and how that's been shaping up, Cosq in the mid lane is ahead. Top lane is also ahead for Inspire, and bottom lane, which went up to the top lane right now. So in all of these lanes, are beginning the CS advantage. Top should kind of equalize now that there's Howler. There's the owl you were looking for earlier.
Good. I'm glad.
We've gone full circle.
That's like my comfort owl.
Right. Mood
whenever
owl.
we see the owl, mood owl. Yeah. It's there to keep me safe.
Okay.
The ward is there to keep HUMA safe right now. So we've actually maintained the lane orientation here. Bottom lane on the minimap, you can see Maxlor was actually trying to go aggressive onto Whirlib under a tier 2 tower. So Inspire are pretty confident in this matchup. They got a good lead so far.
So I don't think we've spoken too much about the owl on other broadcasts, but I think we're coining the name right here and now. Our observer's name is Kevin, and he's calling it Kevin, so that's Kevin the Owl, all right?
Is it? Is it?
It is.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I, for one, ship it.
And so the Owl works so much better.
Maybe. Anyway. That would really annoy Kevin, actually.
So annoyed, he's like, this is my Owl.
Yeah.
Grump reset, so Warlight's a little bit mad at that right now. But honestly, this matchup has started to slow down a little bit. When it comes to the kills, but you can see that HUMA, I said slow down, it's not slowing down now.
Nice pillar against Josui Cass, who'll be running towards the pit here. Has to flash over the wall. Cosq there to meet him. Nice instant exhaust there, but it's not enough to save him. There's still enough burst coming out from Cosq, so another pick, 4-0, Sartorius. Nice E timing. We'll get him away from potential death, which was coming in there. Stop recalling. Now Holy Phoenix will go back to base. But no one's going to let him recall. No one from Inspire wants him to recall.
I'm a little surprised that Inspire, though, didn't really prioritize the Rift Herald when it was available. They want to go for the tower, which is understandable, and then probably swing down for it. The tower is fairly low, though, so I actually think they probably could have two-manned that. If Wendelbo hadn't have gone so aggressive on Holy Phoenix, they may have been able to two-man Rift Herald. It's a bit of a nitpicky thing to bring up here. But certainly Inspire want to take the safer option, go 3 people on the turret, make sure Holy Phoenix wasn't there to defend it, and take that objective.
Sartorius back into the bottom lane now. Just as a note, Warlight went for the cull as well, fairly early on, 18 stacks left on that one. Slight advantage in terms of the fan vote, 59% to Inspire. Definitely right so far, 4-0. But yeah, following the results from week 5, HUMA 2-0'd that series. But still a lot of faith in Inspire.
So you mentioned cult, very standard these days. People to go pick it up after the first recall. Interestingly enough, So it's normally pretty good even against just a general AD carry. So against a tier Ezreal, it's also kind of nice because, you know, he's going to allow you to have extra time. I'm pretty sure we saw double lift at IEM go tier into Cull Ezreal. And I'm like, that right there, sir, that is, I'm going to kill you later in this game. I need time to scale. Yep. But, you know, it's something we're going to see more and more for Cull. The stats when it comes to the early game sustain are pretty nice. So certainly early on in the game, it's a pretty good item. Don't buy it first, though. Yeah, that's all.
That's all. Public service announcement, don't buy it first. But yeah, it's really nice on champions like Lucian and Cogmore specifically because they shoot out so many auto attacks. Lucian with the passive and Cogmore with his W, that you really benefit from the on-hit health that you get. Bot lane now coming in, Sartorius Hammer Shock. It's going to be the anchor landing on Sartorius. You're putting a little bit of slow onto him and speed himself up with the steadfast presence, and he's out of there. Rudy just clearing away some of these wards, so lots of pressure being put down on the bottom side of the map. Warlight takes a big chunk of burst from Godbro, but that was also the Funnel Lords coming out. Returns the damage with the call. Binding onto Max, all the flash forwards, doesn't land the cocoon. And that was the key there, as you were talking earlier, the flow chart. Does cocoon land? If no, let's back off.
Oh, well, it might not be back off time for Maxlaw. It looks like Inspire is still wanting to be aggressive, especially around this middle lane. They want to get that turret down. CosQ swapped up to the top lane for it, but HUMA have got really weird warding patterns right now. One of them's died, but they actually had like a line perpendicular to the river, where it was like 3 going horizontally, not really showing too much. So they do have a deep ward on the red buff from Inspire, so they do have some tracking when it comes to defending the bottom set of towers, but they actually have fairly few aggressive wards out. A lot of them are defensive. You can see him on the bottom side around where the blue buff would be, around the back of Wolves. So you can see that HUMA are already trying to react to Inspire's pushes onto the middle and bottom towers faster, but it's just not working.
Warlight in the mid lane, putting a little bit of damage in, but gets blinded instantly by Godbro. Godbro has really been on point with those skill shots this game, and that will definitely pay off later later on in this game, but they're already fairly far behind. Like 5,000 gold difference at 16 minutes is pretty big, with those 2 extra turrets going down over their opponents. Inspire are leading this game fairly significantly. They're also hitting spikes on their carries, which is key. Mid lane, CosQ just picked up his Triforce, Essence Reaver in the bottom lane from Warlight. And 2-0 Maxwell, really recovering well after that initial invade by Rudy. But that was also kind of, that was a question, right? Like, was the flash worth it from Rudy to go for that buff? Because not having flash reduces your pressure significantly. And against a Nidalee, like, you can't go deep into a jungle because you don't have the safety net. Whereas, even if you don't have to use your flash, the enemy knows you have the flash, right? So you have more pressure by having it.
And I think the other side of it is the buff denial when it comes to what the buff gives you for Nidalee isn't that great. I mean, Nidalee has good base clear. Nidalee has good damage. She has good, you know, mana, like, doesn't rely too much on mana regeneration, that kind of thing. So she clears her jungle very, very quickly. And then the experience you take away, well, she has good clear. She can go into your jungle. So it has turned out that the flash actually didn't really slow Maxlaw down too much when it came to Rudy going aggressive to take out that blue buff. So it's an interesting one. Maxlaw didn't get too slowed down.
Package being delivered to just sweet cast. Lots of damage coming out.
Whoa!
Oh, that crit was massive. Oh, that was dirty.
Yeah, that was there was a couple of shots in there that was like, whoa, there goes the 30 health. There goes the 30 health. But that's crits. Triforce BF Sword Corki for you.
That is. Recall stop there in the bottom lane. Top tower's being sieged in. This has really accelerated out of control over the last, like, maybe 1.5 minutes. Like, and more advances just being picked up. 7,000 gold. I remember just saying 5,000 gold a couple seconds ago, and Inspire just taking everything on the map.
I feel like, I don't know, this might be too early to tell. This is the first time we're really seeing HUMA with Rudy. In the early game, Rudy just had no real opportunity to assist HUMA's lanes all that much. He went into the top lane to try and help out, but didn't really get anything. And it's not quite the same as Centaurin, who, you know, he was playing the likes of the Kindred, who was putting out pressure in the early game. We also saw Centaurin on the likes of a Gragas, that kind of champion that can come in and have that big team fight presence. Rudy on this Elise didn't really make the catches early on. A lot of his jungle pathing was for himself to get farm and try and deny Maxlaw, but it just didn't pay off.
Bot lane though, Inspire just taking another turret, and HUMA are just so slow to rotate from lane to lane. Rudy is just overextended now. Sartorius will get a bit of damage with the E. Maybe look for the follow. Godbro coming in from the side, but he's just not reading from the same page. Now Whirlip comes out, he'll pop the death charge. Kozju assassinates just weak cast in the back lines. That's the exhaust down. Rockets are raining in from the left-hand side. Another pick, another bot lane turret. Only the middle inner turret is open still from HUMA, and it's 19 minutes in.
This is an impressive performance from Inspire right now. You can see just how much they wanted to turn around their performance from week 5.
Yep.
This is, however, where Inspire will be strong. Is they have the Corki, they have the Lucian, these kind of picks that at this point in the game you can go from lane to lane and push down pretty quickly here, even with the Nidalee as well. And look at this, HUMA didn't have any wards to really step up here. Rudy, why did he push up there into the turret? I don't really know what the reasoning there was. Just very, very weird. That tower was never going to get defended.
No, Rudy pushes up, and then Godbro looks to assist at the same time. Elise backs away, and then he jumps in, and then they both back away, and then like they almost both die. It's weird, right? Like it's just, I don't feel, well, it's difficult to say because I can't say like I wouldn't see this with Santa in the same team, but Rudy's been with the team for like a while now, between like now and
I mean, it's been at least a week since the news broke
like
that Santorin left.
It's not been like 2 days, and they haven't really had time to adapt. That being said, like Santorin has been in like more professional teams and has been with this team for longer. Rudy definitely more one of these like solo queue-esque players. And we even saw that in like the Unicorns of Love, Love for example. Unicorns of Love worked so well because they had the strategy in place and you just plug and play junglers, and they did the same thing.
But then that's the dynamic that until week 5 we were seeing HUMA play, right? Sorry, the opposite is the dynamic where Santorin wasn't needed to really do too much. It was just, you know, hover around lanes, make sure that things are safe. Kozju got caught.
Ultimate True Shot Barrage going on to Wendelbo. He's CC'd for days. Great ultimate there by Whirlip, but he's knocked into the team from Sartorius. He's going to be charging up the ultimate and knock Godbro away.
That was a weird one.
Yeah, had to wait for a Valor to pick him up and then send him to base.
Just blasts him away. Just the wind, the displacement of air just took Valor's wings. And,
push it.
Push it.
Being pushed in
push
by
it, the
Inspire.
tower.
Sartorius has pushed that one down, and now they'll be backing away into the mid lane, most likely going for recalls. Baron is definitely still an objective on the map that could even be pressured now, even at 21 minutes into the game, just because of how accelerated this game has gotten. 10,000 gold advantage. And see the lead up to that fight once again. Binding from Cass actually to start that one off.
Yeah, it was a really nice binding. Shouldn't really be catching Kozju at this point. I mean, from that, I mean, Kozju should be safe, but, you know, he stepped forward. There was Valor getting blasted away. Maybe it's the owl who comes and picks up.
Maybe.
So, interestingly enough, we have seen an itemization change on 6.4. This isn't overly critical to this game right now, but Holy Phoenix has built the Muramana, which on 6.4 is no longer a toggleable item. It is kind of an always-on item when it comes to the passive. So it's now that any single target spells or basic attacks on champions consume the mana and deal the extra damage. So that's how it works now. It doesn't have to be toggled on. It's not really that big of a change to the pro scene. Most pros weren't like, man, I really forgot to toggle my Muramana in that fight. Generally, they just kind of leave it on a lot of the time. Until they're like in a lane on their own, and then it's like, you know what, I don't need to waste mana on this.
On these creeps. No, I do
not.
not.
Well, here's that nearly 3-minute Baron, so close enough. Still early. Godbro's here, so is the rest of HUMA. Double pink ward in the back.
I think we're going to force a fight though. True Shot Barrage comes out, lands onto 4 players.
Oh, they got 2 away.
Ultimate. This will be a 5 versus 3 until they catch back up. Make that a 5 versus 2. Whirlip responding with the damage from Titan's Wrath. And Rudy only just comes back into the fight, instantly to be thrown back out of it. Repel comes up, but there's nothing to jump to. And unfortunately, the Spider has to come back down and die to Inspire. 3-0. Now they'll turn back towards the Baron. They're fairly low, though, but I don't think HUMA can really contest with 2 people.
Oh, man. And at that point, Rudy Spider went up the water spout, and then Trundle just smashes it with his
club,
truncheon, his club, when he falls back down. Baron's going across, and that's the rest of the fight is going to Inspire. So very rare do you see the 2-man ults from Poppy anymore. Normally you'll see one person get hit by it, because as soon as you start swinging that hammer up, Max charged hammer right onto some of the critical components here. Holy Phoenix, the damage is gone. Rudy, some of the lockdown early, gone from this fight. It means Werlib and the rest of HUMA can't really sit in the rest of this fight, and you just don't really see that happen. I kind of want to emphasize that a fair amount. Normally teams will spread out a lot better than HUMA just did. They were in a choke, going down the ramp area, trying to funnel into the bush, so it's difficult. But that was a good fight from Inspire, and HUMA are yet to take really anything. In fact, they're yet to take anything but one turret in this game.
The Poppy was fairly well hidden though, because he came around the wall already, like mostly charged at like 3 seconds of charge.
That's
it was just
fair.
like, oh, he's probably got a couple more. Oh no, I'm out of the fight. Okay.
Let's attribute it to a good Poppy ult from Sartorius.
Yes, good vision control and denial from Inspire meant that they could set up that Poppy play.
There we go.
All right. We did it. All right, top lane, Godbro. He's trying his best to clear, but he is a Quinn versus a very fed Corki, who is on IE Triforce. Mid lane is just dying so incredibly quickly. Another double tap in from Warlight. They have second dragon as well, so they even have extra damage coming from that. These towers just look like they're made from paper. Oh,
Rudy just took a lot of damage there from Warlight. Sartorius is trying to push down. So that's now 2 more turrets down, and these are inhibitor turrets that have gone down. Skotsky's now pushing up with the Baron buff into the top side. Middle tower, or middle inhibitor, is going to fall fairly shortly. And look, bottom side as well. They're about to take the 3rd inhibitor tower of the game. Sartorius on his own up here. Nobody comes to try and defend. HUMA couldn't even defend mid right now.
2-shot barrage. They're going to be chasing out Inspire here. Maybe they can get a couple picks. Maxwell will jump away. Dredgeline comes out. They'll pick up that kill. Rudy slammed against the wall. He'll be going down. Werlib also caught behind enemy lines. That was a 0 for 2. Yeah, 2 people died.
That's the game. 40-second death timers here, and 3 lanes pushing with the Baron buff up. That's Inspire taking game 1 of this series in commanding fashion.
26 minutes in, 12-0. Can we call this one a perfect game? They lost a tower.
No, they lost a tower. It's not perfect. Sorry, Pulse.
Very close to perfect in this first game of this best of 5, but they're just going in for the kill. They didn't even want to mess around here. Inspire with the first win up against HUMA.
Wow, that was the complete opposite of what we saw in week 5. That was dominance. I think that is the most dominant game we've seen in Challenger this split.
Yeah, I mean, that was week 4, right? Like up against Millennium, when we were like, Millennium's going to be doing pretty well in this series, and then they just got absolutely annihilated. And that was the same team I just saw right then. That was incredible, actually. 26 minutes.
And think of how messy that game started. I mean, we had 4 flashes over the Baron wall, plus then the flash for the blue buff, and then flashes bottom lane. I feel like Inspire utilized that so much better, though. Is Inspire, they got the flash from Werlib in the bottom lane, then had that play where Maxlaw was down bottom, in came the teleport from behind. They capitalized on Werlib being so squishy, and they just take him out. Same, Maxlaw was right place, right time in mid lane. Punishes Godbro for being super greedy.
Yeah, very true. And also, Rudy wasn't able to put down a lot of pressure. Like, after using his flash early to take away the blue buff, as you mentioned during the game stress, like, it doesn't hurt nearly that much. It's not like taking a blue buff away from the Moo who, like, who completely guts him, right? So you just have to wonder, like, is it Rudy, or is it just like the whole team in general? Because, I mean, every lane didn't do super well, but it was like all the team coming together. Was it maybe the shot calling, or just Santrum being there with the different dynamics? We just don't really know.
We don't really know. But what we do know is we're in a best of 5.
We are.
So
there's plenty
there are
of
more
room
opportunities.
To go,
so we're going to have to see whether that's going to be the same in our next game.
We will. Well, with game